Welcome to 5 and 5, the video series where Complete Discovery Source partners with Relativity to tackle 5 important eDiscovery questions in just 5 minutes. I'm Mike Milicevic, Vice President of eDiscovery Product and Solution, and today I'm joined by Peter Haller, Director of Product Management at Relativity. We'll be exploring how Relativity aiR for Privilege simplifies privilege review, improves accuracy, and helps legal teams work smarter. So let's dive in. First question, Peter. What is aiR for Privilege and what does it accomplish?
Yeah, aiR for Privilege is an AI-powered solution that uses generative AI, as well as large language models, natural language processing, machine learning, and social network graphs to ultimately analyze documents and predict whether they are privileged or not, as well as provide a draft privilege log description for each document. aiR for Privilege ultimately accelerates that painful privilege review process, improves the accuracy of your final privilege calls, and reduces overhead when creating a nuanced privilege log.
Perfect. And so when will aiR for Privilege be available to Relativity customers?
So after about 12 months of testing different variations of the product within an early access program for select customers, aiR for Privilege was made generally available on November 1st of 2024. And this extensive testing period ultimately allowed for us to hone the product across varying customer matters with different data complexities and challenges, ultimately to ensure that we and the product has extremely high accuracy all on day one for all of our Relativity One customers.
Perfect. Can aiR for Privilege be leveraged for either redaction or also withholding documents?
Yeah, it can ultimately do both. So aiR for Privilege groups documents into a set of predefined privilege categories. One of those categories is wholly privileged, while another category is privilege redaction. Documents in that privilege redaction category may contain both business and legal advice or multiple email segments, some of which are privileged and others which are not, maybe contain a privilege breaker, among many other scenarios. aiR for Privilege also extracts and highlights different citations from the document to back that privilege claim, which can be used to focus on the right content when you're having to go through and ultimately add redactions. On top of these two different categories, there are a whole bunch of other categories like legal participants, but no actual privileged content, or borderline document. All of these ultimately allow for you to accelerate that QC review and really drive those follow-up actions related to privilege.
Got it. And can aiR for Privilege identify the advice of counsel that's being relayed by a non-lawyer?
Yeah, that's a good one, a challenging one. But this is ultimately something that aiR for Privilege can handle. This is partially done through our ability to disambiguate individuals who are mentioned in a document using our social network graph, basically understanding the relationships between individuals. For instance, in a sentence where somebody may say, hey, John advised me to move forward, we can actually determine that John is referring to John Smith, a privileged conferring attorney, which may drive this document to be privileged. This type of contextual information is extremely important for our AI to consider when analyzing each document and the text of that document and making a call on privilege. And this is something that ultimately enables aiR for Privilege to deliver that extremely high recall, basically making sure that aiR for Privilege doesn't miss any truly privileged documents.
Awesome. And last question. Is aiR for Privilege portable between matters? In other words, can you reuse aiR for Privilege work product?
Yeah, so any context that is ultimately learned from one matter can be used and applied to other matters for that same client. And this drives not only faster decision making, but more consistent decisions as well when it comes to privilege, which we all know is extremely important when working with a single client on repeat business.
Excellent. Well, Peter, I think that's all for this episode of 5 and 5. Huge thank you to you for sharing your insights on aiR for Privilege. To our audience, please don't forget to check out the rest of our series where Relativity and CDS subject matter experts continue to answer your most pressing eDiscovery questions. Thanks again and see you all next time.